Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, February 22nd. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Happy 022222 to you. All right. Well, what are we looking at here in the market? Well, Friday, we took the market lower. Okay, and then spent the most of the day, grinding around at lower prices, continuing the downtrend in the market, bringing value lower once again. Then over the weekend, they essentially rotated around a little bit larger area than Friday's range. They went a tiny bit above and a little bit below. That carried forward into yesterday, where the trend to the downside remained intact and value was lower again yesterday in the shortened day of trading. They took it lower still in the overnight, testing a previous balance area low. Finally, they found some support, and then we pushed back higher here. Now, to me, this is still bearish. This still looks very bearish. The downtrend still remains intact. Value being lower is bearish. So we'll see, what happens on the open this morning. We'll be looking for resistance above us. We can consider this opening inside the previous day's range because whether you're considering yesterday, Monday, the previous day, or Friday, we're still inside the previous day's range. So we would look for some chop first thing in the morning. And then we'll look at this node here from the overnight, which has this one right here stacked right on top of it as potential resistance to the upside. So if the market opens, we look for resistance grinding up into here. If they can't get up through this, it's a short for further downside continuation. And then we'll look at essentially kind of this whole area right where we're opening here to have potential support. If we break below 43.07, I would look for further downside continuation, but finding support anywhere between the opening price and that 43.07 level, finding support anywhere in here would be good for continuation higher. But what I think is going to happen, well, my assumption this morning is we're going to bounce between the two a little bit here and have some chop. So let's see what happens. Wow, I'm surprised to see the market internals so bearish, even with the overnight activity being so long. That's interesting. Not what you would normally see. All right, so clearly the market needs some short covering. There's a lot of, negative pressure on the market here. A lot of sellers. So normally I would have expected the counter auction to be to the downside, but it seems like it actually needs a counter auction to the upside. A little short covering. Too many people got themselves short. Good morning, Chris. Good to see you. Good morning, Arthur. Welcome. John is here. Diego, good morning to you. Cyrus in the house. Amir, FRM, J Trader. David Glass, welcome to you. Philip is here. Top Gaming on Zuba. Well, welcome. Happy to have you. All right, so now we're pushing into that potential support, which is this node left behind from yesterday. I do expect we'll find support here and get some more chop. If not, things will get very bearish very quickly. Wow, no support here at all. All right, well, there's bears in this market. There are sellers. All right, well, I'm officially feeling bearish. Normally, I wouldn't get this bearish this quick, but we're below Friday's range, which had a spike down. We opened with the internals very, very bearish, so we should have gotten some kind of counter auction to the upside to absorb it. We didn't really get that. So this looks bearish to me. I am looking for resistance. Likely to get it just above the opening price at 43.23. Ocean Blue, Charles, do you generally trade during the initial balance? It depends. Not on days like this where the market has chop, but on days where there's a gap and I can get a good signal right away where I think the market's going to go. But I will say I am now looking for resistance to sell. Dean is back with us. Good morning to you. Rev in the house. Greetings, my friend. Nor Auto Trader back with us. Arthur asks, is this due to Russia and Ukraine? I don't know. Is it? I think there has been a bearish stance in the market for a while now. Obviously, it's not technically a bear market, but just looking at the charts, certainly doesn't look bullish, does it? So this might just be a continuation of that, and the bad news is just the trigger, you know? Plenty of room for both markets to find support in here. NQ and ES pushing back into previous balance areas. Lots of support all over the place. But I'm going to need to see a day with value overlapping to higher to convince me that the downtrend is over. All right, buyers starting to step in here. Still looking for resistance right up above the opening price there, 43.24. All right, moment of truth as we get back to the zero line here. Am I right? And there's a larger bearishness in the market. If so, they shouldn't be able to get the ticks back above the zero line. The sellers should come slap them down. If they do get those ticks above the zero line, they already pushed through the resistance. If they do get those ticks above the zero line and they hold them up there, chop. We're then looking for resistance up here in the 34 area. Espacio, good morning to you. Ranjan in the house. Good to see you. Trader Ned is here. Good morning to you. Ocean Blue. Charles, do you generally... Oh, I already answered that. David V. and David Cooper. Good to see you. Ronald, good morning to you. Dean calling for 43.23 as a fib pivot point. It's kind of the area where they found resistance on Monday. Okay, so notice the internals. Price is just an advertising mechanism. Okay, well, now it's going to contradict me. But I was about to say, price pushing higher doesn't necessarily mean the market is bullish. If the internals are still pointing down, then we know that it's just short covering. But of course, now, as soon as I started to say it, the internals are trending up. So I'm back to neutral. Let's see how they react when they get back to the zero line. Do they get slapped down again? Only have 8 contracts on the high. That increases the odds we need to revisit there. Lots of resistance above from the overnight. All right, we got good taper at the high, but again, I don't love 22 contracts. I generally like to see at least 100 up there. RK doesn't look like short covering. Major stocks turned green slowly. Turned green from what, though? From yesterday? Where are they at in relation to Friday? Okay, NQ testing the 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. Potential resistance there. All right, well, we have some low volume nodes on the ES we left behind right at the lower part of this resistance in here. So we can watch what happens when the market pulls back down to backfill those. Does it start to build some support in there? Right now, this still feels like short covering to me. So I wouldn't call this necessarily new money buying just yet. Oh, man. Yeah, that pop was definitely short covering. So again, all these low volume nodes, 50 contracts, 65, 89, they need to be backfilled. The market needs to pull back down. And what it does when it backfills them, that tells us how strong it really is. So first set backfilled. Design knob liquidated? What do you mean liquidated? All right, new buyers stepping in here at higher prices. That's bullish. When what should happen doesn't, of the low volume nodes not backfilling. Jeez Louise. Lots of people covering their shorts today. All those short-term traders on Friday that took the market lower. Getting out them trades quick. Jesus. This is, to me, still just a continuation of more short covering, though. So I do think at some point later on in the day, we got to pull back down and backfill all this super thin volume. But right now, they caught the bears off guard. In terms of buying this, I wouldn't buy it up here, even though we could be building support for another push higher, just because I feel like it needs to pull back and backfill at least these single prints here around the overnight high, if not the ones down here. So I'm looking for a backfill to about 43.46 before I consider buying. Okay, so there's the backfill. Now we can start to look for support. No support there. Market's gonna move its way back down. Okay. So if this support that we're working in right now, the little node of volume, doesn't hold, we got to backfill the next sets of low volume nodes, looking for support around the halfback. Man, what a day. What a tricky, tricky day. All right, well, it's getting back to a bearish stance here as they were not able to get the ticks above the zero line. They got momentum going for them. They found support at higher prices, and they got nothing for it. So they're going to have to probably pull back down, looking for support at a lower level. So as I mentioned, we got these 3 levels that need backfilling, and then I'd be looking for support around 43.32-ish. But at this point, I'm going back to neutral, and I'm not looking to enter a trade. I might buy that support if I'm convinced when we get there. But at this point, I think this is just chop. Chop with very large. All right, so that's the first low volume node backfilled. It's just chop with a very large range. A lot of volatility. David V. Charles, would you agree the more volatility, the more misleading price is? Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily that it's more misleading. It's just that when you're used to reading the market with a certain amount of volatility, when it's different, it's just harder for you to read it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like the market's not doing anything different than it normally does. It's just harder to recognize what it's doing. A great example would be like normally if the market just needed to cover some shorts this morning, let's say the market was truly neutral. It truly did not know if it was going higher or lower today, but it had a lot of shorts from, over the weekend and stuff that it needed to cover. It would have made sense. We opened in here. That we would push up into the resistance of the overnight to cover those shorts, and then the new sellers, the same area where they piled on in the overnight, they would have piled on again, right in there, and we would have headed back lower. So by the time we pass back through our opening price, we would know the market is either neutral or bearish right here. That wasn't a bullish move. It was just short covering. What you wouldn't normally see if this was just short covering and the market is just absorbing the move from the weekend is that it would push all the way up above the overnight high, pull back down, find a bunch of support, then break lower. It's just a weird way for the market to do what it's doing, which makes it harder to read. But when you can step back and say to yourself, opened inside the previous day's range, and now we're just having chop, well, that makes sense. uncertainty. Market needs stronger hands, one direction or another. All right, so the first low volume node is backfilled, but there's still one more here, just a tick below the POC. Needs backfilling. Well, there you go, got backfilled. So now we are looking for support right around the halfback, 32. Ocean blue, maybe it indicates to us that we're going higher. What does? The amount of volatility? I wouldn't agree with that. Okay. Sorry, guys. Didn't realize I had the mic off that whole time. We'll explain again. Essentially, what I was saying was the market pulled down. It backfilled that last little low volume node that needed backfilling, but didn't even test the halfback for support. So that's a little bit bullish in a when what should happens doesn't. So then we see the market starts to work its way higher. The ticks get their way. Well, now they're back down, but at the moment I started talking, they were back up at the zero line. So that at that moment was our moment of truth to see our new buyers going to step in to take us higher. And to do that, they should be able to work through what is now resistance above us in here. So if they can push their way through that resistance and keep the ticks above the zero line, they'll get me bullish once again for continuation. But if this happened, what is currently happening, which is that This node is now acting as resistance. If that happens, then I'm looking for more chop. So before I even got finished explaining it, we are getting the result, which is more chop. They were not able to get those ticks up. So once again, looking for support around the halfback. If that fails, 43.24-ish. Okay, so there's the halfback. Can it hold? So here again, market found support at the halfback. It's making its attempt to push up into resistance. Can it get those ticks above the zero line? Can it get through this node, this red node above us? If not, expect another pushback down. If so, then we can look for continuation higher. Looking good. We're about to get through that node of resistance. And we still have the ticks. So now what we want to see is this node that was just acting as resistance in here. Man, quit doing that. In here to act now as support. Market should be able to hold up in here if it's going to get continuation higher. So far, that support is holding. All right, I do believe the Bulls are starting to take control. They're turning that resistance into support. They did a good job of backfilling all the low volume nodes. Found support at the halfback. So let's see if they can get anything for it this time around. Okay, there's going to be some resistance from earlier this morning up around 53. So we're looking for the market to work its way through that if it's going to get continuation higher. Happy 022222 to you as well. Alex, good to see you. Okay, once again, testing that support. The poll is out. The question is simple. Where do you think we're going today? Is the market going to close higher, lower, or right around the same place we opened? What do you think is going to happen? Let us know in the survey. It's completely anonymous. We don't know who you are. We don't know how you voted. So there's no reason to be afraid to push a button. While you're pushing buttons, I would sure love some likes, some thumbs up as well. 109 people here, 34 likes. Oh boy, well, this market is just the most disappointing ever. They did it. They broke through resistance. They turned it into support. They got the momentum on their side. And then they went to sleep. So once again, just keeping an eye on this area between 46 and 42. Can that maintain support? If they start to pull back below there, more chop. All right, 108 people here, only 31 people voting. Nobody wants to guess where the market's going to go today. What do you guys do all day? If you're traders, you must be trying to guess where the market's going to go. What do you currently think? Mike, good morning to you. Ocean Blue, the important people voted. How do you know? You don't know who they are. Could have been all the people with terrible opinions. Mike watching me on TV. Hard to push the like button. Oh no, well, then your opinion just doesn't count. We don't know what you think. You're just a viewer. All right, let's close out this poll and see what the results are. Okay, so we're now testing that resistance to the upside. Are we able to poke back through again? 43.53. If we are, I would look for continuation to the upside. Okay, so the poll shows we got some bulls in the house. 57% think the market's going higher. Only 26 sideways, and only 15% think the market's going lower. How is that possible? Wow. Stepping back and looking at the daily chart, and still only 15% of you think the market is bearish. That is interesting. Okay, we did end up getting some resistance up there in that node. So now we're pulling back down, testing the support once again. Bringing in more buyers for another poke at the resistance above. Man, and we lost the ticks again. Ocean Blue, Charles, your bias is wrong today. Well, it's not proven wrong yet. If we can get through that resistance up there at 53, I'll be the big winner chicken dinner. Can we do it, though? That is the question. All right, testing the support once again. Does not feel very bullish in terms of tempo and ticks, but we'll give them a chance. One more poke at that resistance. Okay, testing that resistance once again, right through it. The initial balance is now to the upside. Okay, printing the C period. Okay, well, we backfilled those single prints very quick. Printing the C period and leaving those single prints increased the odds of a backfill, which we got. The C period also created a poor high, as it is only one tick from the B period high. So that increases the odds that at some point today we'll need to pull back up there and repair that poor high. And so we are looking for support on the push away. First potential support is going to be right where we are right now, 53. If that fails, testing once again the support down by 45. It does get more bearish the more times we poke down into this support. We should be beginning to build support higher if we're going to trend higher. The fact that we keep pushing into resistance, coming back down into support, making a new high, back down into support, making a poor high, back down into support. It's more rotational. So keep that in mind. All right, and with that, I shall bid you all farewell. It's been a pleasure. Happy Tuesday to you. I wish you all the best. As far as moving forward here, the market is still kind of undecided. It's certainly bullish at the moment, but if that node of support around 45 breaks again, or is tested again and it breaks this time, we're likely looking at either rotation in here, or we're looking at a sell-off. So for the bulls to get continuation higher from here, They really need momentum on their side. And so far, they don't have that. So we shall see. Thank you all so much, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one.